Welcome to our podcast. Let's see what happens. And this podcast features two women with ADHD, and we talk about our life choices, maybe shed some light on life with ADHD, perhaps inspire. Probably not, though. Okay. What would you say you do here? Recording in progress. Yes.
Can we just celebrate how quickly we went from, oh my God, we both forgot, to on the Zoom and recording in 10 minutes?
I was in the shower. I came out and I was having an ADHD shower where I was like, boop, 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 boo. Not really doing anything, just kind of standing here, got out, casually checked my phone. We should actually read this text exchange, I think.
That sounds great.
Hi, this is from you. Got distracted working. Does this time still work for you? I can send over a link. Exclamation point. Oh my God. Shoot. Are you there? I just got out of the shower. Holy shit. Don't worry. I almost forgot. If this works, yay. If not, that's okay too. Oh my God. Give me 2 minutes. And I'm like, no email. Send me link again or just send it. How did you leave your phone? I was emailing you. Apparently I can't do 2 things at once. And here we are.
Wow.
It's a lot.
It sure is. Sure is.
It's
Oh,
so good
my
to
gosh.
see you. You look like a real person with real makeup, real things going on. You
Yeah.
kind of look the opposite of how I look, which is a little homeless, very disheveled, in my pajamas. Yes, so.
Well, let me just tell you what's sitting next to me. It's this giant bowl of dry rice. Why is this giant bowl of dry rice sitting next to me? Well, it's because earlier today, I thought it was a good idea to balance this mouse on top of this mason jar. And for those of you that can't see us, I'm now recreating this because when I did it the first time, the mouse fell into the mason jar, which most people would say, well, that seems like a very likely outcome. Not me. I thought that was really smart. And so I dropped the mouse into the mason jar right before my first meeting and then put the mouse into the thing of rice, which seemed like a great idea at the time. I did not think about all of the little rice kernels that would then get stuck inside all of the moving parts and buttons of the mouse. So I also didn't consider that there would then be dry rice kernels inside the mouse with the water, and they would expand, and then obviously rendering the mouse useless. And then I would have to wait for everything to dry out and then violently shake the mouse to get all of the rice kernels out. And I'm pleased to report that I think I'm down to like 2 rice kernels in there. I think we're close.
I mean, no one would have seen that coming except like a science major. And I don't even think that's a real major. So I think I made that up. So basically nobody could have predicted that.
No, there's no way that a mouse that's only barely larger than the opening of this mason jar, no one would have seen it coming that fell in. None. Zero
Yeah.
people.
Can I share with you my phone?
Yeah.
So I got a new phone because well, my husband doesn't listen to this, so I think we're good. But I dropped my phone in a lake. And by dropped, I mean, I just went swimming with it. It was in my pocket. And I just swam with my phone. And then I was like, oh, shit, that's probably not great. So over the course of like 4 hours where I'm camping out in the wilderness, my screen's just like, pew, and then just totally died. Just like pixelated galaxy of green, blue, and red. Totally dead phone. So I got another one. I dropped it once. And by dropped it, I mean, I think I stepped on it, which is basically the same thing. Shattered the back. Then I dropped it the other way.
The back of the phone.
The whole back of the phone is just a shattered piece of glass. Then I dropped it the other way and shattered the front. It is a very dangerous piece of technology because if I rub my thumb on it just right, I could get violently injured by my shattered phone. Not my fault.
I've definitely had that phone. And I like to think of that as more of a feature and a benefit. The feature is the skin slicing shards of glass that are in there just so. And the benefit is that I have to be really careful now when I use that thing because I wasn't careful before. But now that the phone is shattered, now I can be careful with it.
I can't impulsively text people. Well, I can, and I do, but it's a game of Russian roulette. Let's be honest.
I feel really honored. I've been on the receiving end of some of those texts now that I know how high stakes they are. That's great.
It's so high stakes. You're welcome, world, if I've texted you in the past month. Because I literally got my phone and I was like, boom, boom. And I was like, well, this thing is totally shattered. So yeah.
Did you get the insurance on the phone?
Please, please.
Oh. They make it for people like us, though.
Yes, but no.
The next time. Yeah.
Next time.
I find it's helpful when you go into the store with the phone that is shattered. The last time I got a new phone, I basically walked in and was like, hi, I do this to phones. Give me the phone that is this proof. And then I just pointed to myself. And the guy was like, yeah. And he like looked at me kind of confused. I was like, yeah, this is what my phone looks like. A shattered hunk of glass and lithium and probably like, I don't know, just pouring chemicals out into my general vicinity with the glass shards that could cut me at any moment. I might get them in my eye. How? I don't know. And then he took the phone and goes, this is in an OtterBox case. And I was like, yeah, I broke that too. And he was like, but what? And I was like, so I need you to give me the phone and the case. It's me
You're like,
proof.
I'm not here, buddy, for you to mansplain to me how not to drop your phone. I need to step up. I am telling you what I need. You don't need to actually answer. Just get me what I need.
Yeah, this is going to be the easiest, largest sale of your day because all you have to do is be like, you need this case, this screen protector, and this phone, and I'm going to put them all on there for you. And then I'm going to take all the important bits from your old phone, and I'm going to put them inside your new phone. And honestly, he could have charged me whatever he wanted. And I would have been like, hey, perfect. I'm going to work on my laptop over here.
Like,
you just tap me on the shoulder.
$1 billion. You're like, okay.
Great. That's the only tool we need in our fucking modern world. So let me at it.
It's so funny. Okay, so you recently did something very impressive that I want you to talk about.
Was it getting a new phone?
Let's minimize how impressive that was because congrats on that. But you did something that probably most people would consider a little bit more impressive. And I want you to talk about that because I think that it's interesting with an ADHD mind how we can accomplish certain things, like hyperfixate on something, set a goal, and do it. And then afterwards, I'm going to share my story around how I thought I was sort of like you, but actually not even close, just in my head, which happens to be a lot. I think I'm really great at something, and then someone's like, nope, you're just reading all the data wrong. So, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I do want to add a small postscript to this intro. So what is that, like a prescript? When you told me this story, I told you we are the same. So I'll let the dear listener decide if the value judgment. Because I still think we are the same. Okay, yeah, I ran a 100-mile race and I came in as the second place female. Woo! I think it's also important to note that there were 7 women that finished and only 9 started. So I just want to level set for everyone. This was a very small race. And the pro tip here is if you choose to hyperfixate on long distance races, it's really a lot easier to podium if there's just not that many other people running. Small pond and fished.
You're like, which race has 2 people in it? And I want one just me. It's myself. That's it.
Okay, no, because I did that before. Don't do it. It's important to have others. One time I did do a 100-mile run all by myself, and that was horrible. Worth it in the end, but really, really mentally hard because you're the only person running, and that's not fun. Turns out it's like way more fun and way easier to run fast and care about being competitive when there's other human beings out there. Also, you feel less crazy because other people are struggling too. Can't emphasize that enough. I also feel like there's a wraparound there to this podcast that you aren't alone. Other humans who have brains like ours, you aren't alone. We are out there struggling and succeeding alongside you. So I think that's a good takeaway.
That's a great takeaway.
What parts should I talk about?
I think it's interesting how you got into running and then you were like, oh, I can run. Then you're like, I can run 3 miles. Now I can run 100 miles. And then having the ability to also schedule in runs and how that impacts your life, maybe positively and also negatively with ADHD, because I feel like that's hard. You have like a whole other thing that you need to do.
Yes. Like a lot of things I think with an ADHD brain, it is both makes things easier and much harder. So to put this in a little bit of context, running a 100-mile race requires a lot of running ahead of the race. And this time around, I hired a coach, someone who built a training plan for me. And this was really helpful. Previously, when I've done this, I had built my own training plan, or I don't know, used ChatGPT and the internet to like make a training plan. But this one, because I had a goal of finishing in a specific time and I have never trained to run faster, I hired a coach whose whole job it was to put a training plan together, hold me accountable. We had weekly check-ins that were scheduled on my calendar. And then in addition to those weekly check-ins, he would send me a weekly email on a different day. So I had like multiple touch points where someone was going to ask me for a progress update. And I had a calendar built for every single workout that I had to do.
Mm.
And this was really helpful because I didn't have to build it myself. I hired a professional to help build it for me. And so I think there's a huge element of one, I paid for it. And so I wanted to get some sort of value out of it, which isn't always the case with an ADHD brain, right? Like I've definitely paid for things, been like, this is the solution. And then been like, ah, fuck that thing.
Or not even
This
open
is also,
it.
yeah, buy something, it arrives and you're like, I don't want this.
Who bought
Get
this?
an app
Oh,
that's
me?
going to revolutionize your life. And like,
Fuck
don't.
that.
You're
That was a
irrelevant.
stupid fucking purchase.
Is there any way I can give this back? Yeah. So the fact that it was a human, right, that I was purchasing the thing from and that there was like some human accountability, that was really helpful. And then you have to run a lot. And so by the end, I was running or preparing to run or cooling down from running or warming up to run for like 20 to 23 hours a week, which is like a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
I also have a full-time job. I have a more than full-time job.
It reminds me of kids who go into school and they start to struggle because they can't plan, maybe like middle school, high school. They can't organize. So you have a teacher or somebody who comes in and they're like, hey, here are all your binders. Here's the thing you should follow. Here are the steps you should take. So you don't have to physically think about any of that stuff, that organizational stuff that is really hard to do and then to execute. Right? Because like with an ADHD brain, it's hyperfixated on something to start it. And I feel like when you have emails coming in on different days or reminders or things, it's almost this new, okay, I can start it again. Okay, I can start it again. When it's just yourself, I feel like I start it and nobody's checking in and I'm like, well, now I have to finish it. This is dumb.
I hate finishing it. Yeah. This is so stupid. 100%. And I think something that was really helpful, I'm literally looking just in my eyesight, in my general vicinity, I'm looking at 4 projects that have been started and will never be finished. I think another piece of this, that in addition to having someone build the schedule, the goal was big enough that I couldn't sleep on the execution. I do think one of the magic pieces of having a really ADHD brain is deadline mode, right? I know we've talked about this. I'm sure other people have had this experience where when you have to get something done in a short amount of time, your brain works like magic and it can work better than most brains out there. And I think this is both like an incredible skill. It creates maybe a false sense that you always get things done in the last minute. And this goal was large enough that like you can't cram for 100-mile race. Like you can't just run a bunch one day and then be like, got it.
And I feel like you could die or be seriously injured.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're running 5 miles. It's like you're going out and you're running 100 miles away from the start through wilderness. So you're not.
I think that's important to know. No, this whole race was in the middle of a place called the Dark Divide Wilderness, which is in the middle of nowhere, Washington.
Sounds super scary.
It was so spooky. And there was like a whole
They made it like a little happier, like rainbow forest.
So my partner, Eric, found this race and he was like, oh my God, I found the most Deeley thing in the whole world. He was like, this is small and hard. We picked up 26,000 feet of elevation gain over the 100 miles, which is a lot. That's basically, it's like a little shy of Everest. So that's cool. So it's hard and weird and out in the wilderness. There's an element of death and serious injury if you don't do the training. Yeah.
Can you say how many hours it is? It's not 5 hours. It's day, night, and day, right?
Yeah. So the cutoff for the race is 48 hours. So we started at 5 a.m. So that's day, night, all the way until almost sunrise again. And my goal was to finish in 36 hours. And I finished, and I think to put this in perspective, my last 100 miles, I ran in 45. So I wanted to shave 9 hours off of my time, which is a huge amount of time. And I finished in 38 hours and 8 minutes, which was so awesome because I did not have to go into the second night. So that was cool.
Wow. But and you're running the whole time.
Yeah, you're moving the whole
naps.
time. Running, no naps. You were moving the whole time. We did have some aid stations, which was really helpful, and nice touch points to see other people. So you don't sleep. You carry a lot of food with you, but we did have drop bags. I think this is a really helpful piece for somebody that can hyperfixate on things. So imagine you're running 100 miles out in the wilderness, but there's going to be these little checkpoints that you get to, and you can pack a little bag that will be at the checkpoint, and it can have things in it that you want.
Hmm.
But you're packing this bag before you run the 100 miles. And so you're trying to imagine, what will my future self, who's been running for 24 hours, want in this little bag?
Oh my God.
And what things will be motivating? So my bags were not little. I basically had
Pictures of your mom, trinkets, my good luck chart from 6th grade. That's hard with ADHD to pack. Oh my God. On vacation for 2 hours and I'm like, well, it could be snowing, could be sunny. Maybe I need skis. Maybe I need a surfboard. I don't know. Who knows? Doesn't matter where I'm going.
imagine doing that for 8 different little bags.
Oh my God.
And then, of course, and you're not far off, I had little notes that I had written to myself. My partner, Eric, made these amazing cards that had my race mantras on them. That was incredible. I had this massive spreadsheet bill where I had to write out all of the things that I could possibly want in the bags. And then I had to go and build the bags with all the things. I had full changes of clothes in a bunch of the bags. This was a big win. I had LaCroix in all the bags. That was
Ooh,
great.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
You're like, fucking past self didn't pack me enough LaCroix. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
It's true.
And you also had little videos.
I didn't know it was happening. So in 100 miles, because you're going day, night, day, possibly night, things get really weird. And the veil between your socially acceptable self and your feral self that's just like a ball of emotion, that veil becomes very thin. And whatever you're feeling is like really coming out. And so Eric reached out to a bunch of friends and asked them to send a short motivational video that he then watched and pulled out at a really appropriate time. So he ran with me from mile 51 to 71, which is a really tough part because you're in like the middle third and you've been running for a long time, but you have a lot further to go.
Are your eyeballs
Oh, yeah.
tired? Yeah.
Yes. Balls are tired because you have not slept. I made it through the night on this one really well, but then like 6 a.m. hit and I was falling asleep while I was standing up. And so I sat down on this log and was crying a little. And Eric pulled out your video.
God.
And it was
Which, of course, I was drunk for. I don't drink, except for when I do. And for some reason, I had been drinking again. So Eric was like, quick, I'm running out of service. Send this video. And I was like, okay. And my video was literally like me saying to you, hey, I'm drunk, with kind of a drunk face. And I love you. You're going to do great. I don't even remember what I said.
So you basically talked about how this is hard and it's okay that it's hard because with an ADHD brain, you can do really hard things. And I have to paint this picture for you. Like it's barely dawn. The sun is just starting to come up, but we're in this big forest. So it still is pretty dark, but it's getting lighter. It's bright enough to run without a headlamp on. And I'm just so exhausted. And I'm sitting on this log and like my feet hurt. I know that I can do it, but I'm like in a pretty low place. And Eric was like, you need a friend. And I was like, yeah, thanks. That would be great.
You're like, yeah, sure. Okay, tree.
You know, like,
Okay, I'll just talk to this squirrel. Thanks. Thanks for the advice, jerk.
and he was like, no. And he pulled out your video and literally it felt like this beacon of light, which is also probably because it was on a phone, which is actually like a large beacon of light.
No, it's not really my message, more that the phone just lights up. I'm going to take it, taking it as a compliment.
Hearing you say the words, acknowledging, hey, this is hard. And it's okay that it's hard. It's okay for this to be hard. It sliced through the mental shitty fog that I was in. And I was like, oh, you're right. I once had to navigate with written directions to get to a keynote with no phone direction. Certainly, if I can do that, I can just get up and run. That's very easy. This takes no brain. I can just stand up and go.
Yeah, and you're like, it's my friend Natalie is sitting there drunk again, being like, you can do things that are hard. Well, I probably can do it.
which was amazing. And I think there is something to that hot knife through butter, right? Of being able to have someone from the outside come in and be like, could you just send me that video every time I have multiple tasks to complete? Could I just watch that video? And be
Well,
like,
it's interesting because I don't feel like a lot of people, when they're trying to motivate somebody else, is like, hey, this is hard. Like, I know this is hard. And it's meant to be hard. You're running 100 miles. It is a challenge in and of itself. And you are challenging yourself. You are doing something that's hard and it's supposed to be hard. We know that that's going to happen and that's okay. And also look at your life and what you've done and the choices that you've made and all these things that you have to do, especially with this different brain. You can do this, even when it's hard. Wow, I'm
yeah,
glad my drunken self is just so wise.
she is. You cracked that line. She nailed it.
Nailed it.
I also think there's one other piece around this hyperfixation and the ultra running deal that came up for me in the race that I think it is a message that I like really want to get out there. So as you go longer and longer, I don't want to speak for everyone out there, but what many people talk about, and this happens for me, is the veil between your ability to hold in emotions or present a certain way really starts to just fade. And what you're feeling is coming out. And the stuff that you have buried in your brain starts to come to the fore. In the last one that I did, there was this huge, really very difficult realization around self-worth and value and performance and expectation. And it launched 2 years of personal exploration and therapy that was incredibly helpful. This time, the big emotion that came out was like rage.
Oh, and
And it was so interesting because it was super motivating. It felt powerful and energetic. And part of the rage was that the trails that we were running on were heavily used by motobikes, which make these 5-inch wide, 8 to 12-inch deep ruts in the middle of the trail, which means you're either trying to run like 1 foot in front of the other, which is not how people run, just in case you haven't, I don't know, run in a while, or you're trying to straddle it. And it's also not how people run.
yeah.
And they were so steep and it was so hard. And I was so angry. And Eric was the one that pointed out, he used a great phrase that is not at all appropriate, but he was like, I think you just need to hate fuck these trails until they're done. You probably know more about this than I do, but in my experience, there's a pretty strong correlation between ADHD and like big explosive anger, especially at like small things.
Yes.
I have struggled with that my whole life.
Yes.
Big, intense problems, very easy to deal with. Small problems that feel overwhelming, anger level 1000 could flip over a car just because. And this was the first time that that emotion came up where I felt like because I was outside in this really crazy endeavor of running 100 miles in this big wilderness with these really hard trails, that one, it was helpful. I was literally running full speed ahead downhill on this trail screaming, I'm just going to hate fuck these trails until it's over. At like full volume. Yeah. What does that mean? I don't even know, but it really worked. And I was laughing and it was funny and it gave me so much energy. And I think the most amazing thing about it, so not only was this feeling coming up in an environment where I had space to express it at its fullest volume and no one was yelling at me for it. No one was telling me to like, be quiet, stop, calm down. It was instead the few people that I encountered while feeling this way, all said, harness it, go, yes, lean in. And when I did, I was passing people. I was running faster than I ever thought I could down these really technical trails. So the woman who was third place, she and I were running near each other for a while. And the day after the race, she came up to me and she's done like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of these 100-mile races. She's so strong and so inspiring. And she said to me, she was like, hey, your energy out there was amazing. Even when it was bad, even when you were going through the tough times and you were having a tough experience, your energy was amazing. It was so inspiring to be around you. There was another person who was volunteering at the aid station who, when I finished, came running over and they were like, I was so invested in your finish. You have the most unbelievable energy. And it was literally the first time that that version of myself, that big, explosive, big anger, people saw it and they were like, oh, hell yeah. Harness that. That's inspiring. You dug deep. And it was so amazing because as soon as I crossed the finish line, the anger evaporated, right? I was so stoked. And it's been this really interesting thing that I've been thinking about and processing where one, there is a space for those of us that can access that more animalistic feeling, intensity of feeling. And two, there's a power in it. And three, I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, if I'm too much, go find less.
Yes.
It felt
Yes.
like this was a space where I didn't have to go be less. No one was telling me to be less or calm down.
They're telling you to actually keep being more. That's
Yeah.
so incredible that almost, if I wasn't so tired, I think I would probably cry. But it is almost 10 o'clock here. And I think that what's so amazing, right, is with ADHD, there is, in terms of the processing, there really is this fine line between going to this really angry place or this really excited place. Like my emotions are huge. And growing up, you're in a classroom, you're at home. You cannot, at least when we're growing up, have those feelings, right? It's just not there's no place where you can have it. And I think for me, going into sports was a place that I could have it. And that was really, really helpful. But yeah, I used to slam doors and punch walls. Like I was pretty angry and violent. And I imagine all that suppressed rage, right? Just coming out. And isn't that incredible that your rage was validated in this amazing energy? Because I think it doesn't matter what the emotion is, like rage, excitement, anger, frustration, sadness. It comes from this energetic place that can be so inspiring. It's not about that this feeling is wrong or this feeling is right. It's like your ability to express yourself and be there and just have it out there. That's what's being honored. And I feel like we should do that for everybody. That's amazing.
So that's my plug for if you have an ADHD brain, may I interest you in ultra running?
Yeah. A quicker solution is
Speaking
just
of,
to bury your head in a pillow and just scream and punch. And I do that quite a bit as well.
I also do that too. But speaking of getting into ultra running, Natalie, will you share your story about your thoughts on you as a runner?
Yes, I will. So historically, I do not run. I love sports. I love playing sporty games on a team. Running, I have never been invested in and I have never liked it. That being said, there was a moment in time this past winter where I'm like running on these trails in the woods. And I was like, I like running on snow, which is a very weird neurodivergent thing to do. Just to be like, I only run on snow. No, do not put me on a path. I will only run on snow. So I was running everywhere, but only on snow. And I was like, you know what? I really like running. And this gave me this false idea that I was kind of good at running, but I hadn't tracked it. I hadn't timed myself. I had no idea. So I start kind of running and I work myself up to running about an hour. And in my head, I'm like, okay, if I'm running an hour, I'm basically running probably like 8 to 10 miles. So I text you and I was like, I need a running vest because I want to hold my phone and mostly I want snacks. Get the vest. It's super cool. Meanwhile, there's all these little bungee cords on the vest and there's no directions, or maybe there was. I clearly didn't read
No,
them.
there's no direction.
Okay, so there's no directions.
No direction.
It's just a web of bungee cords. I don't even understand that you can undo them. So every time I put the vest on, it's 2 inches wide with the bungee cords. It zips it all the way closed. I squeeze in like a worm and get this vest on. And I'm like, well, I guess this is just how runners put on vests. So, yep, fitting right in. And I don't even question it until Todd watches me one day and he was like, you know, you can undo those. And I was like, undo what? And he was like, the bungees. I was like, they don't undo. He was like, yeah. And he just undid it. And I was like, how long was it? This is. So you just put it on like a vest. And then you just use the bungee cord to zip it up. It makes a lot more sense. The design makes a lot more sense. Now, there's still some bungee cords that are flipping off the back that I don't understand where they go. So they just stay there and they just flip around while I run, which is fine. They seem happy. I don't understand where they're going. Perhaps I should check in on this. Okay, so I have my vest.
I can help you with that.
I feel like there's a lot of people and tools I could access to solve that problem, but I have not initiated that,
Not
which
important.
is fine. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, if I'm running these really long distances, I really need to get some snacks. So I get candy, gummy fish, I get these goos, I get the energy chews. I'm like, okay, I'm a long distance runner, running an hour, a little bit more. And I start telling my friends, I'm in this vest, I'm a long distance runner, I'm doing long distances. And they're all like, oh, how long are you running? Oh, well, it's probably like 10 miles. And then one day I was like, I think I could run from here to Waterbury, which is the neighboring town. It is, I think it was 12 miles there and then it'd be 12 miles back. So basically just a marathon, an off the couch marathon where
Mhm.
I was like, I think I could just run to Waterbury and back. Thank God Todd was like, you can't do that. That's a marathon. And I was like, I think I could just run a marathon. He was like, no. So probably not because he said no, probably I had something to do. And I was like, this might take 6 hours of my life is the only reason why I didn't do it. So I'm running. As soon as I start running, I'm gobbling down gummy fish. I'm eating packets of goos. I'm so happy with my snacks. I get back from a run one day thinking I'm this long distance runner and just constantly eating all this really sweet foods while I'm running. And Todd was like, have you mapped out where you're running? And I was like, no. And he was like, you should map it out just so you know how long you're running for. And I was like, okay. So I Google map it and it was like 4.1 miles. And I was like, well, clearly that's not right. Didn't even phase me. I was like, that's wrong. Google Maps is
Wrong.
stupid. Screw you, Google Maps. So then I download Strava and I'll just Strava it, my long distance run. Do it. 4.2 miles. So not only am I not going long distance running, which I thought I was, I am just slow as fuck. I'm just a super slow runner. And on top of this, I'm downing candy. So I'm probably the only who's gaining weight as they start.
I have to pop in here because my response when Natalie told me this was, Natalie, my goal pace for 100 miles, everything goes right, and I am like a superstar pace, is 21 minutes per mile. And my coach is demanding that I eat 90 grams of carbs per hour. So I was like, Natalie, you're the fastest ultra runner. You're doing it. You're running really fast. You're running like 15 miles. You're a great ultra runner.
Everyone else was like, clearly you're not a long distance runner. Deeley was the only one who was like, you are doing so amazing and you are so fast. I was like, okay.
To put this in perspective, a 38-hour 100-mile race means I averaged 22-minute miles. You are really fast compared to
Yeah.
that.
You're
And
also
that-
scaling mountains. I'm like, not.
True. But I'm just going to put out there. So your idea, your brain, that is exactly how I started running. I didn't have one of these fancy watches, started running before we had all of this like GPS tracking garbage. And I would just go out and run
Yeah.
and run for some time. Actually, I would take bong rips and then I would go run. So I really had no concept of time. But let me tell you, you get to the runner's high right away. Great idea. Highly recommend. I'm being serious. It is great. So I do actually think there's something around this hyperfixation and the fact that we don't understand time,
Yes.
the fact that our minds can be so occupied and find fascination in so many things. The most joyful run for me is I'm just going to go out with so many snacks and I'm not coming back until I'm out of snacks and hungry. And
Yeah.
how
that's
long
like
am I
what
going?
it is.
Yeah.
Where are
It's
you going? I don't know.
amazing.
I don't have a sense of time. And I also don't have a sense of, if nobody's there, of how fast or slow I'm going. I thought I was fast. And one of my runs, I was passed by a power walker. And that was the first time I was like, huh, maybe this pace isn't very fast. Even in my head, I was like, but he is power walking. He's not even walking. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, this total
And
magical world of just great and, well, that can't be
Yeah.
a reality because I don't want it to be.
exactly. And think about how much that brain, like that ability to be like, that's not real. I don't want it to be, comes in real handy when you're like, cool, it's 1 a.m. and I'm still running. Maybe I'm tired. Well, I don't want that to be reality. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's
Superpower.
amazing. Yeah, it is a superpower. So I really think that our brains are highly designed, highly adapted to the ultra running world. And don't let Todd tell you you can't run to Waterbury because I believe that you can run to Waterbury. Plus, there's like a bar there. This is what I used to do. You run to a bar and then you have a beverage and you can either call for someone to come pick you up or you run back. And let me tell
Yeah,
you,
he was like, "What happens if you get tired?" I was like, "I'll either hitchhike or I'll just call you." Like, it was no problem. Like,
um,
not even phased.
yeah, when I moved to
Yeah,
Vermont from Costa Rica and I got into running really long distances, that's literally what I would do. I would just run until I got tired and then I would find a road.
yeah,
And in Vermont, it's a lot easier to hitchhike. But,
yeah,
everyone else, be safe out there.
yeah,
Be fine.
yeah. Everyone else actually don't do this. I'm so proud of
Yeah.
you, and I think it's incredible. And yeah, I think the takeaways are hyperfixation can lead to accomplishing some really cool stuff. Having this magical brain where you're just like, well, I think I'm great, so I'm just going to keep on going. No sense of time or I have to map out things. I'm just going to explore. That's a really cool thing to experience. And having all these emotions that you should be able to express and having just the energy inside of you, like people pointing to you as a human and being a human and acknowledging that, we should do more of.
Agree.
Yeah.
Thanks, Natalie.
Oh, thank you. That was a great conversation.
Great combo. All right, I'm going to stop
Great
recording.
combo.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.